Hi, I'm Dan Jones. This is my LinkedIn. If you wanted to connect on LinkedIn, that'd be great. So I used to work in kind of Apple, managing and maintaining kind of networks and things like that. I kind of moved more into the Wi-Fi side of things as like a full-time thing once I could make enough money from it. So moved into doing that. And so now everything that I do is Wi-Fi focused, right? But what I want you to kind of take away from this isn't necessarily just the Wi-Fi side of things that I'm talking to you about on this, right? This kind of applies to almost everything that we do in terms of work today, and even like play, right? Even in your personal life and kind of how stuff works. Everyone talks about AI, right? But I wanted to kind of, I guess, allay fears and things like that as well. With this kind of, it's AI isn't here for your job. It works well as a title because it's an A, so it's at the top of the list. You've got to think about these things when you speak at conferences, right? And it's like clickbaity, so people are interested in what's going on, all that kind of stuff, right? So, but I am going to take you through some stuff that's, I guess, Wi-Fi centric, but again, I'll try and kind of open it up to not just being the thing that I do, right? I went to a talk earlier, Erin did a talk that's very similar to what I'm about to say, and it's like 10 times better than how I'm going to say it. So on like when the recordings come out, go and check out Erin's thing too. Okay, first thing I want to show you, because every good thing starts with a Wireshark intro, right? This is a packet capture that I took at a client site. It's pretty long, right? It's crazy long. And this is one that I took and I used to actually fix a problem. And so in the time that I'm doing the rest of this talk, I am going to put that massive packet capture into just ChatGPT, right? And I'm going to see if my 20 years worth of experience are now obsolete because of ChatGPT, right? Now, I don't know how many of you have worked your way through wireless packet captures. I don't know how many of you know the 802.11 standard well. I have been through a lot of wireless packet captures. I understand the 802.11 standard pretty well. I have not read it from front to back, I will be honest. I am going to, so I've uploaded that PCAP file, right? It's a 100 meg PCAP file. Bearing in mind, I've taken all of the data out of that. So this is just management and control frames and like the headers, right, of this. So I'm just going to say, what's wrong with Wi-Fi here? Users keep dropping out. And I haven't even spelt things right? Good work, Dan. Good work. Terrible prompt, right? You hear all these things about like prompt engineering, okay? I have done this before. Every time it's worked perfect. Let's see what happens this time. Right, I'm going to leave that running in the background, right? We will come back to that in a sec. I will tell you now, the problem that was wrong at that space was they were getting a lot of deauths sent to the client. The reason for that was twofold. There were two problems. One, there was a Cisco bug. Cisco don't do bugs. It was a feature that just got released early. That's fine. There was a Cisco bug in the controller code. But what's hilarious is that controller had been running that code for like 18 months or something, right? It was something that was a bug that a new client had introduced because the driver version of the client was running. So the client was doing it correctly. The Cisco software that had been working for months and months and months had always done this wrong, and something had then caused it, right? So let's see if that's what that picks up. Now, I'm not expecting it to say this is exactly what happened, right? What I'm expecting it to do is to do the grunt work for me. As someone that's just shown you that big, long packet capture, from experience, like the fun that is running through a packet capture like that, trying to figure out what's going on, all that kind of stuff. I'm just hoping it takes away some of that grunt work, right? So, AI, something that we just hear about all the time, right? I want a bit of participation in here, so if you were hoping that you could just go to sleep or something like that, then I'm sorry. You've got to actually think. What do people think of when we say AI? Like, I know when I talk to my wife is very much like, it's the devil. Right? It's the actual end of the world. That's what's happening right now, and you seem to just be running head on into it. What's wrong with you? Right? So, hands up. When you hear the word AI, what do you think of? Skynet. Skynet, yeah? Good. Amazing. Overpowered? Google search, yes. Yeah, you could have just Googled it, but instead you've burnt down the rainforest and used ChatGPT instead. Yeah, nice. Right at the back. Hallucinations, yeah, good. Yeah, and like, I think all of these things are like accurate, right? I think one of the things that we've kind of seen in like the news and the media is, is that the forefront of most people's minds is, it's like this chat interface, right? And people just use it as this kind of like chat thing. Now, obviously, there's been this big explosion recently with like Hermes agent and Claude Code and OpenClaw and all this kind of stuff where we're starting to get this kind of more agentic thing, right? It can go and do something for me. And that is a security nightmare, right? Did you see the, I can't remember what her job was. She was like really, really high up, right? And she gave OpenClaw access to her laptop and it just deleted all of her emails. Did you see that? Amazing. Absolutely amazing. I'm pretty sure she was like high up in Google or something. Okay. This is the thing that I want you to kind of walk at. This isn't an advertisement, right? But I always get like dry-mouthed when I talk. So I made sure I went and got one of the Brighton gins. They're really good, really good. Helps with the nerves too. This is the thing I want you to walk away from, right? AI isn't here for your badge, it's here for your busy work. And I think that kind of also works for your company as a whole, right? We've always had this thing where your junior people come in and they've got to earn the right. Yeah, they've got to earn the right. They've got to do the hard yards. They've got to get all this kind of stuff done. I think that bit is going away. And so I think we really need to think about, okay, well, what do we do now to get people into whatever industry we're in, whatever kind of bit we do? I'm thinking about this a lot from a Wi-Fi point of view, right? Like the kind of thing that you did was you went through packet traces, you kind of went through these manual kind of design processes where we would have like a junior person would draw all the walls for us and all this kind of stuff, right? When we're building stuff out. All of that is kind of going away. And so the thing that I kind of think of all the time is like, in my role, right, as a Wi-Fi engineer, what's the most kind of boring, repetitive task that I have to do like over and over and over again? Like renaming APs, changing config, like drawing a bajillion walls, right? It's just absolute boring. And then I kind of got to thinking about, okay, those are like the kind of Wi-Fi things, right? But actually, like an RFP response used to take up loads of my time, right? Why are we doing what we're doing? Why have we chosen to use what we've chosen to use? All of that kind of stuff. This is the stuff that AI is really good at, right? And it's boring. We don't want to do it. So we should be handing that stuff off, right? That's the exact kind of stuff that it's hungry for. It's the exact kind of stuff. And like you said, like AI is just another tool. And I think some people are so scared because they don't know kind of where to start with it. And one of the things that I've been doing recently with these kind of more agentic kind of models and things like that is just asking it, hey, we've been working together for however long now, right? What could we do better? How could we do what we're doing together better? And getting it to self-evaluate and evaluate me, right? I have this thing where my calls, I do like 4 or 5 demos a day, right, for different people. And we use Notion, and Notion kind of transcribes every call that I have, records it down, does all this stuff. And I just went back and I just said, hey, over the last week, of all the demos that we've done, just give me some feedback. What should I change? What should I do? It came up with this amazing list, and it was so brutal. And I asked it to be brutal, right? I was like, just like roast me, like trash me, like give me just the harshest feedback possible. Like, where am I just absolute dog turd? And it was so brutal, like no human would give you that brutal feedback, right? It was so good. Maybe I'm just a glut for punishment, I don't know. So often there's like this kind of fear factor, right? And I talk about my wife all the time. She's a teacher. She is an English teacher, so she especially doesn't like AI that reads things for you and writes things for you and does all this stuff for you, right? And when I think about like all of these types of things, right? These were all things that people were dead scared of when they first came out, because they were like, it's going to take away jobs. It's going to take away people's kind of livelihood, right? As soon as a spreadsheet came out that could just instantly do all this maths for you, it was like, accountants are going to disappear. Unfortunately, they haven't. They're still around. Like robotic surgery, like, we're going to get rid of all the surgeons. There's no one's going to be. No, it's the surgeons that are using that thing as a tool. Autopilot for planes and like cars. It's like all of this stuff is something that doesn't. It just makes that job easier, right? I remember there being a massive thing when the MRI scans kind of came out. There was this whole big thing in the news about how radiology was going to disappear because now you could see everything in 3D, the whole thing. You're not going to need a specialist radiologist. Like, rubbish. Now you just have to wait 18 months to get an MRI. That's just how it works. And so all these things, like, I just see AI as another one of these, right? Like when CAD first came in, it was like, architects were like, oh, we don't need a specialist architect. Of course you do, right? I don't know how to use CAD. I'd be freaking terrible trying to use CAD. So you still need this specialism. And what it becomes about is about the kind of human layer on top of those tools, right? So I was thinking about kind of just life stuff, right? And how life without AI. I have, so in the company, we've got two of us in the UK. I'm in the south, we've got another guy in the north. And he is a vegan who doesn't eat vegetables. And Andrew, I hope you're watching this back. You're an absolute nightmare to try and figure out how we're going to eat anywhere, right? So we travel like all over Europe together, and it's like impossible to find something that he will eat. So I've put that up in the kind of loads of manual effort, super complex things, right? But then with AI, I just go, hey, I've got this really annoying colleague who is a vegan and doesn't eat vegetables. Where are the top-rated restaurants in this completely random town that we find ourselves in, that mention the fact that I'm a vegan and I hate vegetables too? Where can I go to eat? And it's literally transformed my life with this guy, being able to find somewhere where he will actually eat. Figuring out taxes and all that kind of stuff is there too, right? But the number one thing is a vegan friend who doesn't eat vegetables. And we ended up just like always getting chips. That was basically, I know potatoes are a vegetable, but it's the only one he eats. So then I thought, okay, right, now I want to think about things like Wi-Fi that I do, right? And I think this would be a really good kind of process for you to go through in your workflow, in your work kind of environment. What are the things that require lots of manual effort and are complex? Could I put these on a graph and kind of figure out the things that I could start to think about automating in my life? So this is where we have, right? And this is a very kind of Wi-Fi specific thing. So let me take you through a couple of these, right? So this is not working the way, what is going on here? Right, let's start again. Way, okay, right. So PCAP analysis, right there in the top. We are doing this in the background now, right? I'm hoping that by the time I finish this, it's finished kind of going through it. This is one of the things, right? It's super complex because you have to understand the standard. It's loads and loads and loads of manual effort because you're going through thousands and thousands of lines of code, effectively, right? Going through all this stuff. All of this stuff is kind of how my job was before kind of AI came in, right? So nowadays, this is kind of where things are, right? I've left PCAP analysis right up there in the top right-hand corner because I wrote this a few weeks ago, and it couldn't do it a few weeks ago, and when I tried it yesterday, it did do it. This is kind of how fast the kind of pace is, right? So you'll notice there are still some things that we have to manually do, right? I had the kind of peeling off a sticker perfectly on the kind of life one before. It's a weird tism thing from me that I love it. A load of this stuff is becoming more and more automated, and the better these models get and the more we understand how to use them, the more of this stuff is going to get automated. Does that mean that we don't have to do anything, that we don't have to check it, that we don't have to be the ones that prompt it and get it to do it in the first place? Absolutely not. And what you'll see from the PCAP analysis in a second is that it still requires us as experts to know kind of what we're doing. Where I will see this kind of going is that all of this stuff is moving kind of further and further to the left. There will always be these things that we have to do ourselves, right? There will always be some complexity and stuff, and I think that that is just part of it. Now, I've highlighted Walker Survey as something that, you know, only humans will ever be able to do. You've seen the robots they're making, right? Honestly, they need to put some sort of fail-safe, like an Achilles heel or something on them that you can just tap them and they fall apart. Or that scares me, I've got to be honest. I put together this kind of thing, and I think like this is the way that I see everything going, right? And again, this is a Wi-Fi specific version of this, but I think it'd be really, really helpful for you to go away and build this for yourself. The idea that those kind of like monotonous, kind of boring, kind of just got to get things done tasks can be completely offloaded, right? Will we need to check them? Yes, absolutely, we will. Will we need to do something kind of on top of it? 100%. But what I think we then add value is our human side, right? Is our creative, our judgment stuff, our problem-solving things, right? So for me, this comes down to things like, okay, could I get an AI to give me the perfect Wi-Fi network? Probably. If not today, tomorrow, probably. Will they be able to balance, have that judgment of user experience versus cost? Maybe not, right? Maybe because they're so constrained by a particular kind of thing that I might be able to go, well, look, that one event that you hold that causes that problem that one time, do we actually want to build a whole network out just for that one event? Or do we just have an understanding in the company that, hey, during that event, stuff isn't going to work the way that it works the rest of the time? Being able to have that conversation with management, being able to, you know, not just a kind of autonomous thing going off. A massive one for me has been this kind of storytelling for non-technical people. This isn't necessarily something that AI is going to get right? One of the things that I love about actually having face-to-face meetings rather than like over Zoom or WebEx or insert meeting software here is it's really hard to pick up on people's, what do they call it, like micro-expressions, right? It's like a human intuition thing. The more that you're with someone, the more that you're kind of face-to-face with someone, you kind of know what's resonating and what's not resonating, right? That's really hard to do over Teams. And I don't know why, like, maybe it's a latency thing or whatever thing, but I always find that kind of storytelling, kind of being able to scratch where they're itching happens when you have a face-to-face interaction with someone. All of this kind of stuff, right? These are all things that I kind of have to think about the things where I add value as a human over just getting work done, right, with an AI agent. Okay, so this is on here for me to show you something. Let's have a quick look at how our ChatGPT is doing. Okay, amazing, right? Let's go through this. Can everyone see that? Do I need to make it bigger? There we go. Okay. I'm just going to read this out. I'm checking the capture itself to see whether the drops line up with retries, roaming, deauth, association events, right? So it's already kind of narrowed down. Okay, you mentioned clients are dropping off. So let's have a look at the things that might cause that. So instantly, that's the thing that I would have done going through this packet capture, right? First thing I would have done is filtered out, right, okay, get rid of all the other noise and just give me the thing that I need to look at. Got the capture open now. How? I haven't installed Wireshark for this AI agent. I don't know how it's done that. Right? RF problem, roaming design problem, or an auth problem, blah, blah, blah. Based on it, it does not look like a clean internet is down problem. It looks much more like a Wi-Fi airtime association problem, yeah? Right, this is the important bit. It's a few APs and client pairs that are behaving badly, okay? So it's not all the APs, it's not all the clients, right? Capture is only about 104 seconds long, but already contains 3,000 whatever retried data frames out of the 23,000. The radios which are especially ugly, right? So it's giving us the SSID, it's giving us the AP that's causing those problems. There are a huge number of deauth frames with reason code 7. Oh. Does everyone know what reason code 7 is? Just me? Well, actually, it tells you right there. That reason class is class 3, frame received from a non-associated station. Okay, which usually means, okay, so because again, you don't know what a class 3 non-associated station is, right? Which usually means that the AP and client disagree about the association state. In plain English, roaming state is getting messy and stations are being kicked off the AP because they're no longer properly associated. Those deauths are not evenly spread, they are heavily concentrated on a few AP client pairs, especially these ones, right? My read, love this. The main problem is not about DHCP or anything like that, blah, 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 blah. This usually points to too much co-channel or adjacent channel interference. I know that that's not the case. And this is where now it becomes a two-way thing, right? So it's done all that kind of hard legwork for me, right? I don't need to open up Wireshark and go through all this stuff. Now I can start to use some of my expertise and my judgment and go, right, okay, well, I know from the channel plan or from being there, it's not a co-channel problem, right? Too much cell overlap, power mismanagement, I know it's not those things. Sticky clients hanging on to the wrong AP, could be that. Broken or badly behaving client, repeatedly generating non-associated traffic, definitely could be that. Possibly brand channel specific, blah, blah, blah. What I would check next, in order. This is awesome, right? This is exactly what I would have been doing with my 20 years worth of experience, and all I've done is I've uploaded a 100 meg file into ChatGPT and gone, can you ever think about this for me? Now, this would lead me to what I actually found when I did this, you know, the caveman way, right? This would lead me to, it's telling you here, check these Macs, check that they may be faulty clients, bad drivers, or devices stuck in a roaming loop. That's exactly what it was, right? So I've taken my troubleshooting time down from 5 hours, 6 hours off-site, right? Because I haven't got time to do this at the client site. I take my capture, I walk off-site, I go home the next day, and then I'm working my way through this massive pack. I could have done this on-site just after I'd taken the thing. Okay, okay, yeah, this makes sense. Let me have a quick look now back into the packet capture. Yes, this is everything that's going wrong. Let's try this on the controller. Okay, it's fixed. And I could do it there and then with the customer, not kind of over time. Right, so let me show you the next thing. When it comes to kind of like what we've built with AI, I want to show you that too. So let me show you this. I kind of did a bit of this earlier, right? This is my new thing. I'm going to grab in my floor plans. And again, thinking about how much time was wasted previously, right? These are flat, no metadata PNG, JPEG files, right? I'm going to upload these. First thing that I would have had to do as a Wi-Fi engineer back in the day is find the scale, update the scale, all that kind of stuff. Nowadays, what I can do is I can just go, okay, just make me a building. I don't want to have to do that. That was boring, it takes too long. You go make a building for me, and I'm going to crack on with something else. So I'm on the first floor here, so you can see it's already kind of built out this floor, right? In the time it's taken me to just upload the thing and start working on it. So now I'm going to start going, okay, right, I'm going to put in where my switches are, okay? So my switches are here and here, for instance. That's a bathroom, but let's say the switch is in there. Let's move it here. That's an empty room. I'm going to put in my cable trays, right? I know that this is where my cable trays are going to run in this building. I'm going to put them through here like this. Thank you very much. I rejoin them back down there. Let's just say it's like that, right? Okay, great. Let me just see. Have we built the building now? Yeah, there we go. Okay, so we've built our building. Now, I want to highlight to you, it's not perfect, right? So again, this kind of going back and working with the AI, it's done a bunch of work that would have taken me hours to manually draw all this stuff, right? Is it perfect? No. It's missed out a wall here, right? So I can come in, I can have a look at the walls. It thinks, oh, it hasn't missed out a wall there. Okay, fair play. It's gone through. It's even found the different types of wall and put them in for me, right? So again, this is, I know that you might not be doing this in your job. I'm just saying, try and think about how you can apply this to something that you're doing in your job, right? So I can get it to build out all those walls for me. Now I can start placing access points down. I've used different ones already today. Let's use Extreme, because we're in the UK and Extreme basically don't do anything here. Right, here we go. So I can go through, right? I can see my scope zone. So my scope zone is where do I want Wi-Fi, right? So I might say, okay, I'm not bothered about having Wi-Fi in the toilets here. I'm not bothered about having Wi-Fi in the stairs, for instance. All right, so I can start kind of cutting all of this stuff out of where Wi-Fi would be. And then I can say, right, okay, let's take it out of here as well. Okay, so I'm not bothered about Wi-Fi being in those spaces. Can you go and just build a plan for me, right? Now again, am I going to take that plan and just go, yep, great? No. But it's gone through and it's done the majority of the work for me. So now I can come in and fill in any gaps that it's left or move any APs where I think that's a stupid place for an AP. Why have you done that? Stupid AI. And the nice thing is, with most of these AI systems, right, they have this feedback loop. So the more you kind of say, oh, you did this wrong, or you did that wrong, or you did this, it will learn. The more you use it, that thing that I was saying earlier where I said to the AI, like, what's your feedback for me? Well, we can give feedback to it too, right? And we can say, this is terrible, you've done this wrong every time, and it will learn and it will get better. So I can come through and I can start building out my kind of design, as it were, here, and now I'm pretty happy with that. And you can see, even as I'm placing down APs, again, I just take this stuff for granted now, right? But I used to have to place all the APs down, then do a channel check of like all the channels, have I got any interference and stuff like that? It's doing it for me, right? As I place this AP down, if I clicked on the AP button, you can see all the channels change. So the numbers underneath the APs, they all change to minimize the interference, right? So I can do that and go through a whole building now in an hour, 2 hours. For me to have designed that building, bearing in mind, I've done this for 20 years. Previously, that would have taken me a day, maybe a day and a half to get that done. And all it's doing, the main thing that it's doing is just taking away those kind of monotonous, kind of pointless jobs that we kind of have to get done to do it. And now I can focus my expertise, my intelligence, my, whatever, creativity, into doing the bits that matter, not the bits that are monotonous. Okay. Another thing that I kind of see kind of happening, I've only got a bit more time, is this, and I don't know if this is connected or not, but something that I'm seeing kind of happen more and more, and I'm assuming you are too, and I think it might be because of COVID, right? We all suddenly realized, oh, we don't need to all be in the same place at the same time. We can kind of spread out and get stuff done. I'm seeing kind of more and more, and again, this is Wi-Fi Central, but you'll be seeing this in your kind of environment too, right? We used to have all this stuff that was done kind of on site, and that's all kind of moving either remotely or kind of a hybrid of those two. We're seeing through things like APIs and MCPs. Does everyone know what an MCP is for AI? Okay, so an MCP is like, it's a way of an AI being able to use a tool. It's like an API for an AI model, right? So you might have, for instance, I have a Juniper network at home. I was working with my AI for doing demos and things. I use my home network. My wife loves that. I use our home network for my demos. And I would do things like, I would have to manually go in and like create a problem on the network, right, to show, oh, look at this problem that just happens to have appeared on my network at home. Let's fix it together. And I was manually doing, between each call, right, I was going and creating this problem. And I just thought, that's a monotonous, annoying problem that requires very little skill, right? AI, can you create a network problem? Oh, that's great, Dan. I would love to do that for you, but I don't have a way of interacting with your network. Oh, okay. Well, I'm pretty sure Juniper have an API. Hey, AI, Juniper have an API. Here it is. Can you create an MCP so that you can use that API? Yeah, that sounds amazing. Let's do that. And within like 3 minutes, I had an MCP for Juniper that can control my whole network through AI. So now I can just say, hey, AI, do that demo problem that we always create. And it goes through and it creates that demo problem. And then during the demo, I go, hey, AI, I'm doing a demo. Can you fix that demo problem that we always fix? Yeah, no worries. And it goes through and it fixes the problem. And it's doing it all for me and I don't have to log in anymore. It's amazing, right? And this is what's happening across all of these things. If there's a way of Erin said it amazingly, right? If a computer can do it, an AI can kind of use it, right? And I think we're going to see that kind of more and more kind of happen. Yeah, so we have this whole live analysis mode that basically uses that, right? And what we will have kind of soon built into our platform, because we're seeing everything move this way, we were already going to be creating like an API for our platform, right? We already work with vendor APIs from every vendor in our platform anyway. And we thought, okay, so we now have this tool where we have built our own models to build buildings and draw walls and do channel planning and do all this kind of stuff, right? We've built all this stuff out. People still need to be able to report on this stuff, and we have like a very kind of Humina template of how you should report your Wi-Fi. And like the number one thing that we get from people is, hey, we would like super customizable reports that you could do through us. And we were like, cool, that sounds like not a lot of work for us to make completely customizable reports. Awesome, that sounds like a lot of dev effort that we're gonna have to go through. And then we were like, why? We use an API internally, right, to do all these tool calls, right? This is how our software works in the background. We have all these APIs that we use to do things. Why don't we just make an MCP server so that someone can just go, hey, here's my Humina design that I've done, right? I've got 5 different designs for this customer because they're super useful and they want me to work nonstop, right? But because I've charged them 8 days and it's taken me 3 hours. So why don't we just give an MCP server now to an AI agent that can go, hey, this is what they need to know as a company. Make this work like this, right? So that custom reporting, which again, I used to do, used to take me more time than the design doing the custom reporting, right? How about now we just give that tool to an AI agent and go and create me this report that has this, and this in it. Go and create the heat maps. Go and use all the internal kind of API calls that we use to make the software. Go and just build an interactive report for them. Even better, if they're an MSP and they're designing networks for people all over the place, now they can create their own complete dashboard using the APIs and an MCP server, right? So now they can go and create whatever they want with the data that they've collected from us. And it just opens up this thing of the reason why we hadn't done that before was because it was so much work to do it. Well, now it's not, because we can just offload that work to an AI agent, right? And what I want this to be, right, is like a thing where you start to think about, okay, what things can I offload to an AI agent, to whatever it is? What things am I doing constantly, over and over and over again, where I can spend a small amount of time working on a good workflow with an AI agent to automate that process for me? Now, like I said, I do demos all the time, like 3 or 4 demos a day, right? One of the things, we have a CRM, all this kind of stuff, right? And I was doing like a bunch of kind of research on the people that were going to be on the call. Once I'd had the call, I was then kind of going through and updating all the notes in the CRM. Do you know what I do now? Every morning, there's a scheduled task in Claude for me that I say, prep for my day. It gives me a list of all the calls that I've got coming up, and then it will send off separate AI agents that goes and does those call preps for me. So now I've got a call prep for every call that I'm going to see. It's this person, you've interacted them with this much, you know, they got introduced by this company, blah, blah, blah. All of that background that I need to know, because I speak to so many people I can't remember. I can't remember that I spoke to them 3 weeks ago, right? So it gives me all of this information. When I come off the call, I go, okay, just had that call with Tom. Can you write up the CRM notes for me? It will go to Notion via MCP. It will pull out the transcript. It will pull out all the action points, pulls out a summary for me to put into the CRM. It then goes and creates a task list for me of things that I need to follow up on. And it will remind me on my next day when I say prep for the day, these are the things that you should have had done by now, right? So now that thing that was like a massive admin overhead for me that I just thought, this is so pointless, it takes so long, and you know, I just offload it. And it gets done for me. And I approve everything, and I change things. I say, no, you haven't quite got that right. What they meant was this, da, da, da. And we work back and forward, and then it presses it to it. So now when someone else from the team, because I'm here in Brighton speaking to people, if someone contacts us, they've got really good, rich notes in our CRM. They know everything that's going on. And I didn't have to sit there and type it all manually, right? What things are there in your kind of job where you can kind of automate those things? Okay, we've got like a couple of minutes, I guess, for like a Q&A or something like that. Any kind of questions from anyone about any of that? Yes, at the back.
Do you worry that you're giving all this information to the AI models, where it's going?
Yes, okay, so the question was, do worry about giving all this information to the AI models and where is it going? 2 kind of responses to that. One is there's a reason why we build our own models for doing some things, right? And then second, we have an enterprise account with Claude where they don't use our data to train. Would I suggest you start putting all this stuff, and ChatGPT, would I suggest you put this stuff into just a free tier? Probably not, because they will use it. Any other questions? Yes, right at the back. Yep.
How do we still use these tools and create new versions of you? Because I love you, Dan, but you're not going to be here forever. You're going to retire off to Mallorca and like live in Spain. It's going to be amazing. But like, how do we make the next generation of people while we still have these kind of tools?
Yeah, that is. Do you know what? That is the biggest thing I've been battling with, is because we're getting rid of that kind of first level, go and do the tools, build the thing out, do the kind of grunt work. Because that's disappearing, like there's now going to be this gap, right? And I think actually what that requires is us as people that are employing to be brave and to allow people to make mistakes, right? And I think like the reason why we kind of always say to these kind of junior engineers and things like that is, you need to go and do this stuff first, is because it's low stakes if they don't click a wall in the right place, it's a low stake problem, right? And the more they get exposed to it, the more they'll learn wider. And I think that this is where the kind of human side of this comes in. This is where us, in terms of like mentoring and actually being active about bringing people up in whatever industry you're in, is super, super important. And I think we're going to see kind of more and more of that as these kind of AI agents kind of take over, doing this kind of monotonous kind of everyday stuff. Within Wi-Fi, I am working on like a 1-year lunch and learn type course that I'm going to do on LinkedIn. It'll be like completely free, open to anyone, jump in, jump out type stuff like that. But a lot of that is about like what you're saying there in terms of getting the stuff out of my head and into kind of anyone that wants to be able to do it. There's enough work for everyone, right? We don't need to gatekeep this stuff. Yeah, thank you for the time. I'm well over, so thank you. Cheers.